Today I'm going to review Rebirth of Mothra 2. And I'm going to be upfront, this is the worst film in the trilogy. The kid actors and even the adult characters, whatever, they're all the worst in the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. With the exception of the Elias and Belvira, there's nothing worthwhile characterize. Mothra is cool as ever. In the new monster, Degarla is very cool, but this film's, if I'm to be honest, it has more negatives than positives. But the negatives are really good. It's got some funny stuff in it. The monster scenes are great, but they do go on a little long, which makes that a mixed bag. Belvira is great as she was in the first one, so are the Elias, and Belvira has the best costume in the trilogy in this one. The music is phenomenal. This trilogy is just so musical. I love the music in it. By the way, that's Mothra Leo on the cover. Anyway, our kids, we meet them in school. There's one girl and two boys, and the boys are playing a joke. They're gonna drop a caterpillar down the back of the girl's shirt, and I'll admit, this scene was shot really well, the way they did the camera in it, even if the effect of the caterpillar flying looks wonky. The girl sees it, knocks it out of the one kid's hand, it goes in the other boy's mouth. He spits it out, it goes flying, hits the teacher, and goes down her shirt. They get in trouble with, I believe it's the gym teacher disciplining them, and the girl mentions a nickname they call him, which gets them in even more trouble. The basic gist has to do with this treasure of the lost civilization of Eli Kanai, and with this monster that destroyed Eli Kanai called Degarla. Degarla is actually a pretty cool looking monster. So anyway, here's Degarla. Not the movie poster. I don't know how that just switched like that. But there's Degarla. Not only can he fly, but he's aquatic, and he releases these starfish things that are very deadly. When we first see one, there's these two guys on a boat, and they're reeling in nets. One of the starfish opens up, shoots this liquid on the guy's face, and horribly disfigures him. Even though it don't go into too much gruesome detail, it's a quick cut, but it's still pretty gruesome for a kid's movie. Which, yeah, despite the problems with this film, I'm taking into account it was intended for kids more than adults, and if I was a kid when I had first seen this, I would have really enjoyed it. Now we get these two adult characters again, which aren't very good, and there's this kind of like, was Belvira controlling them? Wasn't she? Because they seem pretty nice at first. Then they go cartoonish, villain, and then at the end, back to being nice, and it's all very confusing. Now, another funny part I like in this, there's a joke we get two scenes with this cat, and I like it because the joke doesn't overstay its welcome. Unlike Thor calling Rocket Raccoon Rabbit. Anyway, the mother, she's selling some stuff to the two adult characters, and as they leave, she's got a cat. An ash cigarette falls out of the ashtray, hits the cat jumps up and screams, and you see a smoke trail on the cat. And later, they're hunting the two adults. The daughter has this thing called a Gorgo. Why they had to call it a Gorgo when that's the name of a kaiju that destroyed London, I'll never know. And it's this furry creature thing. They're climbing a ladder trying to break into a house, and they see something in a basket, and they go to grab it thinking it's the Gorgo. No, they're pulling on that poor cat's tail and it claws them. It's a funny scene, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, the girl runs into the two boys. There's this whole thing with them chasing her. Then they get attacked by Belvira because she finds the Gorgo. The Elias intervene. They lose her in a public area. One kid scrapes his knee, and I'm not making this up. The Gorgo heals his wound by urinating on it. Belvira wants the treasure of Eli Kanai, which has the power to perform miracles. Ultimately, a temple rises from the sea. The kids and the adults get there, and we get just something more drawn out than it should have been, or at least would have been better if it had better characters with all the going ons in the temple. Mothra gets summoned to fight Degarla, and it's not a very. I mean, it's a good fight, but it just goes on way too long. Which, it's a positive and a negative in that respect. Ultimately, Mothra gets the star. Mothra Leo's a he, so I should remember to refer to him as that. Gets the starfish all over him, and even gets dragged into the water and gets beat down by Degarla more and winds up on top of the temple, just completely incapacitated. Eventually, everyone makes their way to the human characters make their way to the treasure room, and they're like bullying the kids really bad. And the Elias show up, and we get a scene off camera of Fairy Mothra zapping them. We just see flashing lights and hear them screaming. Okay, movie, you can show what that starfish did to that guy on the boat, but you can't show Fairy Mothra zapping two clear villains. Belvira shows up. There are these two opal things which are believed to be the treasure, which actually shut the door. In a hologram appears that's the Queen of Eli Kanai. We get a scene with the Elias and Belvira each arguing their point to the hologram. Well, fortunately, the Queen loved children, and she explains that the treasure was made with the power to stop Degarla, and it was so powerful she wanted it to have a conscience so it couldn't be misused. It's the Gorgo. Well, at this point, the one adult, he leaves helping the kids. The temple's falling apart because of Degarla. They wind up leaving the other behind, and they get to this chasm thing. Most of them jump over, and it's clear there's some kind of force that lifts them from one point to the other. The one kid's afraid because he can't jump it. The other adult comes, grabs him, and it looks like he's going to hurt the kid, but he just throws him across, and it's a nice moment of redemption because you can clearly tell he knows he's going to die if he doesn't save himself. Well, he doesn't die, which I'd argue he should have. A piece of debris falls, and it sends him flying over the chasm too, and he passes out. The Gorgo marks its territory on him and heals him. Just go with it at this point. And we do get a touching scene when they're outside of the temple. The Gorgo has formed a relationship with the kids, especially the girl, and you can tell that it doesn't want to leave her, but it does ultimately sacrifice itself to heal Mothra, and Mothra turns into Aqua Mothra, which is a very cool design. That's what I love about this series is they've done so much with the Mothra designs, and it just took a lot of chances. So, like, this is nothing else. It's a good series that did a lot of really interesting things with Mothra. And Aqua Mothra just kicks Degarla's butt, breaks into all these smaller little Mothras, flies inside of him, and destroys the organ that produces the starfish, basically killing him. Everyone gets to the land to safety, and the movie wraps up in not the best way. This movie, I'm gonna give a solid C minus. It's not very good, but every now and then when I'm in the mood to watch the whole trilogy, I could put this one in and not hate it. I don't exactly love it, but it's there. It's the middle act of the trilogy, and it's by far the weakest one. Next, I review the finale, Rebirth of Mothra 3, the easily best in the series. I may get a few Godzilla Kaiju Loungin' before that, and I have my Return of the King video uploaded set to Premiere just to get the memory off my phone. So, what are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Would you like to see it? Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Over and out.